So how fast can we go with a naturally aspirated Slant Six? We're going to find out next year with this thing. So this was a really busy year for us at UTG. We got the channel started, we did a couple of hundred videos, we built Project Bottle Rocket. But now it's the end of the season, the tracks are closed, and it's time to do our winter building. And in addition to working the bugs out of Bottle Rocket so we can hit the track, you know, ready to rock, we're also doing the muscle truck, and we're going to revive this project, the Plan Z Dart. And Uncle Kathy will put a link to where you're going to put it. Is it on this one? Where I'm pointing?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys can get an idea where it came from. So just to give you a quick rundown on the car. We weighed it a couple of weeks ago, and she's at 2,117 pounds, which is a bit heavy for our goal. Weight is important, obviously. When we're dealing with a low horsepower engine like a Slant 6, weight is critical. But also, we did a lot of stuff with this car with parasitic losses in mind. Like, for instance, we use a 7.25 rear in here. It's got welded spiders and 410 gears. And we use a 7.25 because it takes the least amount of horsepower to turn. Now, a lot of you guys are going to be like right away, oh, a 7.25 is junk, you're going to break it right away. No. The 7.25 at this weight car is the equivalent of like a Dana 60 in a 4,000 pound car. Transmission, we did the same thing. The transmission is an A903 3-speed. The tranny itself only weighs about 60 pounds, and it takes next to no horsepower to turn. So, okay, typically on an let's say an automatic transmission, conventional car, automatic transmission with a performance-oriented rear, you're looking at approximately a 25 horsepower loss between the flywheel and the back tire. When you switch to a manual, you cut that down to 18 or 19%. With the setup that we have here, we're probably only looking at about a 15% loss through the drivetrain. So it takes less flywheel horsepower to actually make the car produce numbers. So the car is all steel, it's all original steel, it has all of its original glass in it, and we don't go with plexi because the car has to live outside. And also, there are weight transfer benefits to having the weight up high, and we'll talk about that in another video because there's going to be a lot of chassis tuning that's going to have to be done with this car. The motor that's in here now is a Mule. It's one that we built for that $12.99 challenge, and it's a heavy motor. It's the early heavy block. It's the heavy crank. It's standard bore. It's got stock pistons in it that was just turned around backwards. The head has been cut 100. Has stock size valves. It has an RV cam in it, you know, a very small cam because we were looking for torque more than anything else with this. It has an Offenhauser intake manifold, a 600 Edelbrock that we spent a lot of time jetting this thing, getting the jetting balance so that the fuel distribution was right on it, and a set of hooker headers. So the goal with this engine was to meet that $12.99 number, and we never did it because that whole thing evaporated before we had a chance to actually take the car out and sort it. But for now, our purposes now, this thing won't do it all. So we're going to start from scratch with a fresh motor, and we'll take you inside in a minute and show you that. So as it stands right now, the quickest and fastest slant cars in the world, nitrous and turbocharged cars, are all in the single digits, which is like amazing when you stop and you think about how fast it is. You know, so these things were never intended to go that fast, but there are guys out there turning single digits like it's nothing. Very impressive stuff. The quickest naturally aspirated cars are all down in the 11s, which again is amazing. And that's where we plan on going with this. I don't know how fast we'll ultimately go, but you know, we're going to throw everything we have at it and take you guys along for the ride. So that's the car itself. We want to have a starting line weight of approximately 2,250 pounds. That's what my fat ass in the car, and you know, liquids, everything ready to go. So in order to do that, we've got to knock about 60 pounds out of this thing. So let's go inside and I'll show you the motor that we're going to build for it. So this is the one we're going to build. If you watched our Understanding the Slant 6 video, we went over all the differences in the blocks through the years. And this is the 1981 through 1987 casting. It's, aside from the aluminum block, this is the lightest of them all. It starts out approximately 20 pounds lighter than the one that's currently in the car. And we've actually started taking weight out of it. We've trimmed away a lot of, there was a lip over here that went, we cut the corner off, we're cutting little chunks out of it. So we're doing everything we can to get as much weight out of this block as possible. Hopefully by the time we're done, she should be about 30 pounds lighter than the one that's in the car now. It's going to get punched 60 over, and we're going to take 100 thousandths off the deck. If you're following along at home and you want to try to build one of these things yourself, you want to spot, how do you find one of these light blocks? This is what you look for. The earlier engines, on the distributor, there's a plate on the distributor that limits the timing, right? And it attaches it to the block. On these engines, they use a crow's foot. That it is the bolt for it, and the crow's foot holds the distributor down. So if you're looking for one of these light blocks, that's what you look for, the crow's foot on the distributor. There are other telltale signs, like for instance, these abbreviated ribs on the side, but that's the quickest way to spot it. Sorry, that's the block. And before we send it off to the machine shop, we're going to take some more weight off of it, dress down some of the sharp edges. We're not going to touch anything structurally obvious. We won't take any metal off the main saddles or anything like that. But again, we're going to optimize this. We're going to get as light as humanly possible. And then this is the crank that goes with these engines. So if you're familiar with Slant Six cranks, they have giant, huge counterweights. And with these engines here, they reduce the counterweights to like next to nothing. And what we're going to do with this crank is we're just going to dress these sharp edges down, cut the corners so that it spins through the oil nice and easy, and clean it up. The other benefit to these cranks is that they use a narrower bearings, both main and rod bearings. So there's less parasitic loss, through spinning the crankshaft. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this stuff sent off to the machine shop probably early next week, and when we get it back, we'll outline the rest of the build. We'll talk about the pistons we're going to use, the camshaft, what we're going to do to the cylinder head. It's going to be a neat project, and we're going to try to keep it as affordable as possible. We'll give you a price breakdown when we're done with it. So this is phase one of our hot slants. Well, this is actually phase two. Phase one is there. This is phase two of our hot Slant Six, and hopefully this thing will net us an 11-second time slip. We'll see what happens, and I'll see you tomorrow.